Welcome to another episode of Angling Wisdom. I'm your host, Patrick Edwards, and we're back for another week. And this episode you're going to definitely want to listen to, especially if you're a walleye angler, because this time of year is the best time to go out and catch walleyes. So we're going to talk post-spawn walleyes and some of the things that you need to know. Here we go. Welcome to the Angling Wisdom Podcast, the freshwater fishing podcast for multi-species anglers.
I've known Patrick for quite a few years, and there are a lot of people out there. It's an ego-driven industry. It's all about them. To find somebody that really wants to go find anglers for all different species, to bring them in, to give everybody a voice. This is the difference between what Patrick's doing and a lot of other shows is there's only a special few out there.
I have a very special guest all the way from Wapiti, Wyoming.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jim Zumbo. It's nice to actually spend 2.5 days fishing.
With a master angler like you, are you kidding me? This is a real treat.
Get ready for the culmination of angling wisdom and fun. I'm your host, Patrick Edwards, and this is the Angling Wisdom Podcast.
So this is my favorite time of year to catch walleyes because they're on the move, they're very hungry, and they're relatively easy to catch. And you can catch them on a lot of different presentations. So we're going to talk about what some of those things are, at least out here in the West, in the Western reservoirs. I've grown up my whole life fishing places like Glendo, Seminoe, Boysen. So here in Wyoming, but you can apply this across probably just about anywhere that walleyes are. Their behavior doesn't change that much. They're motivated by several different things, obviously, food being a big part of it, spawning, those kind of things. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So the first thing that happens is after the spawn, so they've been up on these gravel banks, they've laid their eggs, they've done their thing, and now they're moving off. What'll happen is they'll be fairly shallow. In the springtime, if you want to find walleyes, you want to find the warmest water possible. So a lot of times this is in back bays. You can find them on flats, places like that. They will be there and they will be hungry.
Fellow anglers, it's time to up your game with PK Lures, crafted to help you catch the fish of your dreams. Whether it's the classic PK spoon, the Flutterfish, or the reliable PK Ridgeline crankbait, PK Lures has the perfect lure for any fishing scenario. No matter if you're fishing on the ice or in open water, PK Lures has a wide range of lure options to help you catch walleye, trout, panfish, and more. These aren't just lures, they're proven performers. Designed by master angler Pat O'Grady and tested by some of the best anglers in the world, they are trusted for results. From the hard water to open lakes and rivers, PK Lures delivers. Find your perfect lure today at pklure.com and use the code WISDOM for 20% off of your order.
And that is the key. They are looking for food. And if you can put a presentation out there that imitates the kind of food that they want, you will catch fish. This time of year, one of my favorite go-tos is obviously jigs. And I have some here with me just to show you a little bit. So this is a box of jigs. You can see a whole lot of variety in there. I have stand-up jigs. So if I'm fishing a minnow on the bottom, you can hook a minnow through the head and have the tail of the minnow stick up. So these are stand-up jigs right here. Mooneye jigs, which are my favorite. You can put just about any kind of plastic. So paddle tails are perfect for this time of year because you're going to imitate a minnow presentation. So if you're like me and you probably don't want to carry around a bucket of minnows, this is a great option for you because you can just use a paddle tail, a fluke of some sort, and put it on one of these Mooneye jigs. I also have hair jigs, which are fantastic because it looks like a minnow. And so you can throw out hair jigs. These are some ones that I tied up. You can cast those out, let them hit the bottom, kind of pick them up and drop them off the bottom. It looks like a minnow in distress. Of course, marabou jigs, which is one of my favorite jigs to use any time of year. I've got some round ball jigs, just about anything you can imagine in this box. I try to keep it pretty simple, but these will work all year long for walleyes, as you walleye anglers know. But I'll tell you what, in this transition period of the post spawn, these are absolutely killer because you can find them in 5 feet of water 3 feet of water, sometimes in 15 feet of water, depending on the day, depending on the conditions. And jigs can fish anywhere in that range. So you're not limited when you have jigs. I would recommend you have different sizes. So I have 1/8 ounce all the way up to 3/8 of an ounce. So just make sure that you have different size options that you can throw out there. Some guys like to go lighter with 16th ounce. Some like to go really heavy. So whatever works for you and the presentation that you want to do. But this is an option you should have.
For me, fishing isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. And every angler deserves a rod as unique as their journey. That's where TB Custom Rods comes in. Handcrafted custom fishing rods built to your exact specifications. Perfectly balanced and tailored to your style. Work with Trapper and choose your design, select your components, and feel the difference of a rod made just for you. Visit tbcustomrods.com to get started on your custom rod today.
One of the other things you should have, and I have a couple of different boxes here. So these are just husky jerks here, but a suspending crankbait is always a good thing to have in the post-spawn period. I'll show you this other box. So this one has a really big variety. I've got a whole bunch of different things made by Rapala. So the X-Wrap is probably my favorite. Then I've got Shadow Wraps, Shadow Wrap Shads, and a couple of bigger husky jerks. Also dynamic J-Specs, which are right here, are fantastic. That fire craw color is awesome. I actually just caught a really nice smallmouth on Flaming Gorge on one of those. And these lures, what's great about them is when the fish are up shallower, and so they're right off of the edge of the bank, these are great because you can throw them out there, you can imitate that minnow, you can twitch it right in front of them and let it sit. And sometimes that just drives walleyes bananas, as well as other species, smallmouths, pike. So these are a fantastic option in the springtime, right after spawns, during spawn. These work really, really well. And I've caught a ton of different fish on them. Again, if you're in a place that's a multi-species reservoir or lake, you never know what you're going to catch on these things. I mean, you might catch a bass, you might catch a walleye, you might catch a pike, just depending on the body of water that you're in. But that's one of the reasons I like these, is they do catch a little bit of everything. But this is my favorite way to fish for walleyes, hands down, is the suspending crankbait. The other nice thing about this is if you're in a boat, you can pull up, you can twitch these along the shoreline. If you decide to, you can throw on the trolling motor and you can move along slowly and just twitch it along and just work it back behind the boat. Long lining these can be super deadly for trout as well. I love catching trout and walleye on these in this time of year because they work extremely well. And so this is a really good option. And sometimes, like in Boysen Reservoir and in Keyhole, I've seen this behavior. The fish will spawn and then they'll just be suspended out in the middle of nowhere. And you're just like, okay, this is kind of odd until you think about it and you realize they're bait fish out there. But they'll be, in 60 feet of water, but they'll be suspended in like 10 feet of water. And sometimes twitching these and long lining these back behind the boat can be absolutely deadly on those walleyes. So make sure you have some suspending cranks.
Whether you're deep in the backcountry or gearing up for your next hunt, Kifaru has your back, quite literally. As someone who has broken their back twice, I can speak to the unparalleled performance of the Kifaru packs and frames. From their industry-leading backpacks built for extreme durability to ultralight shelters that withstand the punishing elements, Kifaru gear is engineered for those who demand the best. Customizable, rugged, and made right here in the USA, Kifaru is trusted by hunters, hikers, and explorers who refuse to compromise. Visit Kifaru.net and discover why Kifaru is the ultimate name in outdoor adventure.
And then I have a box of just a whole bunch of different things in here, but I want to talk about a couple of these real quick. So I'm going to pull them out. One of the options you should have is a rattle bait of some sort. So I have these PK Ridge rattlers here. Hopefully I don't hook myself too badly while I'm filming this. But these are a great option to have when you're fishing in the springtime. Again, you can fish these at any depth. You can jig these next to the boat. So this is a good one, especially if you have fish right underneath the boat or long shorelines where they're kind of working the edge. You can throw these out there because they cast super far. They're nice and heavy, and they have different size options too. So I've had some people say, well, I don't want to jig that next to the boat. It seems to be too big. Well, this size right here, which is a newer size, is pretty small. And this is the Wonder Bread color from PK. But you can put this down below the boat, no problem. You can catch crappie, perch, anything that you want on this little guy. And you can still cast it really, really far, which is nice. So this is a great option to have. Another one too, I was just at Flaming Gorge catching fish on PKs, but this flutterfish is fantastic in the springtime because it imitates a dying bait fish. And so you'll actually rip it up off the bottom and it'll just kind of tumble down, rip it up and it'll tumble down. These have a much slower fall than traditional spoons, especially if you don't put anything on here. You don't need to tip this guy. Ouch, that's really sharp. You don't need to tip this guy. Just toss it out there, let it fall, rip it off the bottom, let it fall. And you'll catch everything on this too. I've caught tiger muskies, bass, pike, you name it on this particular lure. So not only will you catch walleyes, but you'll catch just about everything else that's in there. Rainbow trout, brown trout, love these things. So that's always a good option to have. So those are just some basics that you should have, but we should talk a little bit too about, at least out here in the West, kind of what the walleyes will do. So for years, I didn't really understand what was going on with walleyes. I just didn't have the experience. And what's really interesting is, you know, when these fish go and they spawn, like I said earlier, they get super hungry. I mean, they're pretty depleted at that point. And you'll catch them and you'll see like they're super skinny. And so they'll be out there just looking for food, and they can be super aggressive. There's a particular bite that I like to do from about mid-May, so right about now, until late June. And it's very simple if you have a boat. And so this is a great option for you if you're boat fishing and you just need to cover water and find fish, is get in your boat, take some planer boards, put some crankbaits out off the back. And early in the season, when the water's colder, you'll probably want to stick with like a 1.5 mile an hour speed. And I like to do S curves as I drive the boat. So you'll speed up the crankbaits as you turn this way on this side of the boat, and these ones will slow down. And then when you turn this way, the opposite will happen. These ones will speed up and these ones will slow down. And as you cover water, you'll find the active fish. And if you can find the active fish in an area trolling, then you can go back and you can sit on them and jig or cast for them or whatever you want to do, or keep trolling. It doesn't really matter. A lot of times if I'm fishing with people that don't want to jig or don't want to cast, you can just go back through there, keep trolling. Everybody has a good time. Typically you'll catch lots of fish too. So if you have kids like I do, you can keep them engaged because I can put 4 lines behind my boat, and as you know, fish bite, I can have the kids going and work on them and reel them in. So that's a really great option this time of year. And as the water temperature heats up, you want to speed up your boat and speed up your trolling speed. A lot of times we'll start at like 1.5 to 2 miles an hour, and by the end of June we'll be going 2.5 to 3. And I know some of you are like, walleyes don't swim that fast, they're not that aggressive. As water temps go up, you can definitely troll faster, and sometimes that actually triggers the fish. So I'd recommend that you speed it up. If you're going slow and you're not getting anything, speed it up a little bit. It definitely makes a difference. So give that a shot. One other thing I want to talk about too with post-spawn walleyes is the type of setup that I use, so that you know kind of what works well for me anyway. So this is a TB custom rod that I have here, and I have a Moon Eye jig tied on. So the kind of line that I use this time of year, I mean, it varies, but if it's going to be really cold outside and I'm worried about it freezing, I'll usually do like a 6-pound monofilament. But if it's not going to freeze, I've got 10-pound braid. You know, you can go with the forward braid from Berkeley. You can go with Power Pro. Those are some of the better ones. So I have Power Pro on this particular rod. This is my fancy TB custom rod from Trapper. And so I'll just kind of hold it up here. This is a medium action rod with a fast action tip. The reason that I recommend that for walleye is you need enough beef to really, you know, put some pressure on the walleyes. They have a hard mouth. And so a medium rod is perfect for that. And the faster action tip, it doesn't have a lot of noodle to it. It doesn't really bend a ton so that you can maintain that pressure, because you're going to thwack them pretty hard when you set the hook. And then you're going to maintain that pressure and keep it on them so that they can't get free. And then on the reel, this is a Pflueger President reel. This is the next gen. This is the new one. I've been using this for just a little while. It works great so far. Very happy with it. Again, Pflueger makes great reels. They're inexpensive, and I've been using them for 20 plus years. They're fantastic. What I like about this rod too is I can feel everything. Trapper did a great job building this out, and it has great sensitivity, so I can feel the fish bite. And that's another reason you want to use braid if you can, is you can feel literally everything because there's no stretch to it. The other thing too is this rod tip is very sensitive, so I can feel the fish bite. I can set the hook nice and hard, which is fantastic. And I like the grip on this one. It's really easy to grip and work all day long. So if you're casting, jigging, it's nice and comfortable. It's a perfect grip for me. So you can get whatever works best for you, but this one is meant for 1/16 ounce to 3/8 ounce size lures. So I don't want to go awful heavy on this one, and I don't typically fish for really heavy stuff anyway. And this one's rated for 6 to 12 pound test, and I have 10-pound braid on here. And this particular rod's is 7'6", and the reason I do this 7'6" is for the leverage and for the feel of it. This is perfect for me. Plus, the longer the rod, typically you can cast a little bit further than you can with some of the shorter rods. So there you go. There's a rundown of post spawn, but what I'll tell you is on Glendo, Seminoe, Boysen, Keyhole, this is the time to get out and hammer the walleyes. There's a ton of them out there. They're very hungry. Get out there and pursue them, because the fishing is absolutely wonderful this time of year. It starts to slow down a little bit, gets a little bit harder from July on. So between now and July, go out and catch the walleye. It's the perfect time of year to do it. And I hope this has been helpful. If you have some specific questions about anything that I talked about and you want me to do another video on a more specific piece of it, just comment below. It would be really cool to be able to interact with you. I have had some requests on videos that people would like me to do, so I'm going to start doing some of those over the next several weeks as well. And then we're going to take a little bit of a break over the summer, because I have some filming projects and some other things to do to create content so that you can watch that during the wintertime. So again, thanks for watching this episode of Angling Wisdom. If you get a chance, go to the website. There's a whole bunch of information there. I've got blogs, videos, all kinds of things that you can check out there. Also, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'd love to have you follow along and not miss any of the shows. And as always, comment below. We'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'll see you out on the water.
Angling Wisdom has been brought to you by TB Custom Rods, Kufaru, and PK Lures. Don't forget to subscribe to Angling Wisdom on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so you don't miss any of our new episodes. Also, go to anglingwisdom.com for more fishing content. Until next time, I'll see you out on the water.